Welcome to the latest episode of Yeah, I've Played, with myself, Mr. Matthew Hall, and of course to my left we have...
Andrew Taylor.
And to Andrew's left, Jordan Hill.
And today we are discussing a game from 2012. Now I believe I reviewed this and had a discussion with you about it a couple years back now.
We did.
On our sister show to this program, Have You Played? In which, we ask one another, have you played this game? And the sort of response to that is usually, no, it sounds kind of cool. So, to remedy that situation, we created a...
Now I'll listen to you talk about it for a while.
The cat's screaming at me. So the solution to that problem is a show called Yeah, I've Played, where you can confidently say, if I ask...
Let's say it all together now.
Yeah,
I've played.
Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops.
By Jaeger Studios and owned by 2K or whatever.
By Jaeger Studios and owned by 2K or whatever.
That's right.
Very good. So released... What do you want to say?
Let's get into it, gamers. I'm trying to do a really cool,
You're nailing it.
marketable intro. You know, we all say it at the same time. We get a cool zoom, and then our intro starts.
Well, this game was released in 2012. It has been released on, over the years, it's been released on Windows, where we all played it, PS3, the Xbox 360, but also it's available on OS X and Linux as well.
Ooh, Linux.
It is a third-person shooter developed by the German studio, Jaeger Development. It was published by 2K Games or whatever, and it is according to Wikipedia here, the 10th title, as well as a reboot of the Spec Ops series. Now, I knew about Spec Ops from just being a gamer.
Yeah.
And being around gamers as a kid. 10th game in the series. That was shocking. to me.
I remember when you did your review 2 years ago or so, and you were talking about that with us, and I Googled Spec Ops just to be Spec Ops game, and 15 games came up,
Yeah.
ranging back to 1994 or something like that.
I didn't really... I was
they had
also...
just been pumping out.
Matt's cat's losing her mind. I've never heard her be this vocal. She's screaming over there. She hates Spec Ops: The Line. I was also shocked.
I think it's self-indulgent bullshit.
Yeah, a bunch of sanctimonious, anti-military bubkus. So she says, we'd be speaking Russian if not for me. Anyway, I was also shocked that this game is so... this franchise is so... prolific.
I fought in the Cold War.
Damn it.
I sat in those bunkers.
Apparently,
I waited for the call. It never came. But I was
I'm
there.
still out there in my mind. Apparently, the first Spec Ops game kind of made a big splash, and then the next 14 until the line didn't really pop off, and even the line didn't really pop off. Yeah.
That's 8.
Not to
Okay.
get too off track,
Yeah.
but do you know much about the other games?
Not at all. I saw I saw clips.
I only have seen them peripherally. I've never actually played one.
They seem kind of Rainbow Sixy.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they all had the same same tone to them.
No.
Okay.
No, they're drastically different.
So yeah, we can get into it, but basically, the reason I suggested this game for the series is I played it a while back and was really struck by it. Especially, it was right around the same time I was getting into the Remedy stuff, and I found this to be one of the first action games, not by Remedy, that I thought had that even broached that level of depth in the writing and the imagery and the overall presentation.
Replayability.
Replayability for sure.
I'm upset I didn't get a chance to play it again before we're talking about it today.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to play through it at least one more time.
And it is 5 or 6 hours, easily.
Yeah.
You can obviously spend more time with it, but it's if you want to run through it on a weekend, it's not a big deal.
And with replayability, it's not you unlock the golden gun and you can use it to kill the... it's no, you'd replay it again purely to pick up on the story cues that you missed the first time.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think you unlock any special bullshit.
No, it's 100. I'd 100% be replaying it to see everything from a different lens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's why I wanted to play it a second time to kind of just experience it, but I also wanted to see what you guys thought the first time around. So we've been playing the game, I think we all started it within the past week and a half, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Keeping it fresh.
So I want to first talk about the overall gameplay and controls. This is a third-person shooter in the Gears mold.
Yeah, it's very cover heavy, very...
Yeah. I mean, it's hold A to
Snap.
run, snap cover, like vault out of cover, vault over stuff.
Actually, you specifically don't have to hold A to run. It tells you in the beginning.
Just have to
Or
tap
you
it and hold the
A. If you
direction.
hold A, you'll like automatically...
Which I thought would be a
like,
lot more...
tag to
I thought
whatever
you had to
wall.
hold A to run.
It says
No.
it's
do
funny.
in
It's like
Gears.
literally in the tutorial.
The
It's
tap
like
A to run is so much better.
yeah.
Why?
Because we discussed this when we played Max Payne 3, but if you're trying to rotate the camera,
Oh, I see.
your thumb
Yeah.
is on the A button,
Yeah.
and which led me to do this move where I'm holding down the A button with my index
Oh, the
finger
little crab, the Monster Hunter claw. Yeah.
and like doing one of these, which is like I don't mind doing it. It's like there's no one way to hold a controller, really.
No.
There's conventions, but
I think
it sucks.
that convenience though trades because there's you trade that for you can't. There's no easy way to stop running. You just kind of have to let go, and then your momentum eventually stops, which you can learn how to do, but I never got good at doing it.
I think you just flick the stick back.
Like if you hold like
Yeah, basically, if you just stopped running, if you stop pressing forward, you usually just stop.
but like there would be times where I'd want to transition from running or from sprinting to just regular running, and I feel like I'd have to fully stop and then continue after.
oh yeah, 100%.
which I never really seemed to figure
Because
out.
I think it's like Matt mentioned, it's in the Gear style. It's a cover shooter, and I think it was kind of built for you to be sprinting to cover. You know what I
You're
mean?
never.
So it's
You're rarely. Usually, when you're moving long distances, you're not even allowed to sprint. Like there's like
Yeah.
story moments where you're like walking and you're kind of paced.
yeah. But then the moment that you realize you can sprint again, you're like, that's when you start noticing the cover popping up, you know what I
Right.
mean, just in the environment. You're like, oh, this is no longer the desert. Now there's barricades and cars and...
right.
I know that you guys are a little more fond of the series. I haven't really found a Gears game that I like yet, although I haven't played all of them really. I've dabbled in because they were all on Game Pass.
Yep.
I do intend to get into one of them, just finish it and see what it's about for real. But the thing that I noticed immediately was this felt very similar to a Max Payne or a Gears of War or any of those, games in that style, which I don't know, like, what really precedes it. Like, I feel like Gears really set that precedence largely because there
Yeah.
wasn't, like, third-person
Yeah.
shooters weren't really cemented until around that year.
I don't really know any that preceded Gears. I'm sure that wasn't the very first
There was that
one,
weird
but-
Bethesda game that we played that was like the medieval magic cover. It was like you had like a bow and arrow and you had a sword. It was one of the very first like Let's Plays you and I did together.
What?
I can't remember the name of it. But I'll try to send the name to Matt and maybe he can put it in here to say
We
what
played
the-
it here on Hidden Machine, or you and I did.
I think you and I played it. I think it was
What?
for your Halbeardo gaming channel.
I don't remember
Well-
at all. Anyway,
Regardless of all that, I noticed immediately that the player character just moves fast and feels extremely light.
Yes.
And I think in the Gears games, your movement speed is kind of nerfed to the point where when you're running, you're like, you feel the weight of each step.
Yes.
And when you're moving slow, you're just moving slow. And like in this game, you're extremely fluid. And I thought that was great just for the gameplay on just a pure game feel level.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't like I get the Gears characters are fucking huge.
right?
Yeah.
But I
And I
don't
think-
like being weighed down like that.
I hear ya. I think with Gears, not to like make this a Gears conversation, but like the clunkiness and the heaviness of it is like that's the feel of everything. The chunkiness, you know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
like killing someone or like meleeing someone or any of it.
It's a very weighty game.
all of it feels very
Yeah.
heavy and hard and you know what I mean? Visceral.
It's almost not even, you have to like be a couple steps ahead of everything in Gears, where you have to, I'm going to go there, I'm going to aim that way, because if a guy pops his head out, like, you can, but it's not as easy to just be like, oh my god.
And it's balanced for that,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. It's not like a game where you're so slow and it's like, fuck, I'm losing because I'm slow.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. You're like I can't get to this cover.
You
fast
also don't
enough.
die instantly if you get shot
No.
once.
Yeah, Spec Ops
generally.
was it's a much more is realistic's obviously not the word to use, you know what I mean? Because no war game I'm sure is realistic, but like
No, if you get shot, you can just wait.
yeah, you'll just wait. You'll get better.
Yeah, so
you'll
this
get
game,
better.
this
You'll
game
push the
does have
bullets
the
out.
recharging health, which I also think is like
Not the best mechanic.
I don't like it. I think
Yeah.
it's I
No.
think it's I don't like it. I just feel like it
I'm just like, oh, I just
It-
have to wait now.
yeah, just because they're until like the end of the game, you're not really getting flanked heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for the first 12 to 13 missions, or I should say like 11 to 12. I think 15 is like a story mission only.
Yeah, it's not really a chapter.
But like the last like 3 battle missions are fucking intense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
But
there's,
you're
like-
but you're largely aside from like one where you first are alone. I think it's called Alone, the mission.
is, I believe so,
You can get flanked there, but they're kind of going easier on you. It's just like, in most instances in a battle, I'm like, I can like be really dumb, shoot, get shot up, wait, be really dumb. It doesn't lend itself to like, it doesn't always lend itself to playing the game well and like learning the combat mechanics.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Like I feel like they could have easily integrated just health packs because there was the usual. You could find the little caches of like ammo or grenades. You know what I mean, all over the place.
Or in a game that's very similar that I've like been wanting to cover on the channel, but I haven't found a way to talk about it yet. Binary Domain is a Gears of War clone that was developed by the Yakuza team.
Okay,
Really?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I can't say it's polarized. It's a game where I go away going, I don't know how I felt about that.
yeah.
But the thing with like if you have just a static health bar and you have to pick up health packs, I feel like those games you need to also have an overshield. Otherwise, if you just get low on
Or some
health,
sort
you're
of
like,
armor or something like body armor.
Yeah, because that just
Yeah.
means if
You could
I guess
institute body armor
is
too, though.
Probably more
But-
common, but
Yeah.
if you don't have the body armor, I feel like you're like, okay, well, I got hit a lot in that last battle. If I get hit at all when I go into this next room where I don't know where anything is happening, then you just have to restart.
But I wasn't just
It's
saying
complicated,
that
though.
Binary Domain exists. I was going to make the point that in that game,
Yes.
you are able to be healed by your squad mates.
Okay.
Which is something that's a mechanic they introduced for your other squad mates. You know what I
Right,
mean?
they can heal one another.
Yeah, and you can
heal them.
You can heal them. You can have
but
them heal each
you
other.
can't call them to heal you.
No, you can't get downed. You're either alive
I
or
was a
dead in
little
this
surprised
game.
by that.
Well, I mean,
But I also get it.
if you think about where the story goes, inevitably, like, there's not just a chapter where it's alone where you get separated. You know what I mean? There's multiple moments where you don't have
Right,
your squad members
gameplay-wise,
with you.
it
So
it would lead to inconsistencies that would fuck up the balance.
yes,
Which, whatever, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even Gears has the last stand when you get downed and then you're like, is that Gears?
It's Max Payne.
Max Payne had last stand. Gears you could get down and get picked back up by one of your teammates or squad mates.
Are you saying if you shoot the guy who shot you, you were like, what would have been your killing shot? You can shoot him and you'll get health back
Yeah,
and pop up.
like-
That's in Max Payne 3.
Yeah.
It's also in I thought it was I know it was in Borderlands. Is it in
It's
Gears?
really in a lot of games.
Gears, I don't believe that you can
Do you
shoot
just
them.
die?
Because in Gears, you're just crawling, remember? And then they come over and they can execute you.
But somebody can res you?
Someone can res you, yes. When you
Okay.
get downed.
All right.
You just
Well,
get downed.
So,
It's like,
so you can't fight back.
no.
Okay.
There's no, not that I remember.
How did you guys feel about the overall like gunplay and all the? And there's a pretty wide range of weapons. And
Yeah.
you can. And there's points where there's like 5 or 6 guns in a region that you could pick up. You can only carry 2 guns at
Yeah.
a time.
But you can
plus
carry
3
any
types
2
of
guns,
grenades.
which is nice.
Yes.
You don't
You're
have
not
to have
limited
like
to a
sidearm and
firearm.
then like main gun. You can carry like 2.
Sidearm, yeah.
Did you have like a favorite gun or anything? Anything that stand out?
Yeah. It's weird. They all felt kind of the same. Not really, but they kind of did. It's like this one's automatic, this one's not. This one
I
has a scope, this
disagree.
one doesn't.
I mean,
Really?
like, even
You
from,
thought they
like-
felt unique.
I thought they all kind of
Yeah,
felt you. I mean, like
for
even
me.
when you're going from like, so say like assault rifles, you got the M140s, like the main one that you have for most of the game. That's like with the silencer. That's the one that like looks like an M16.
Yeah.
That one is like, it's when you shoot it, it feels a little lighter. You know what I mean? And it's like it's a little bit more accurate.
But you pull the trigger and a lot of bullets come out.
Yeah, but then
Because you can do the burst fire around that one, right?
No, that one's a
that's not- I'm
silencer.
sorry,
yeah.
yes.
But then you have the Scar H, which is like the next step up. That feels heavier. It's a little less accurate. It feels like, you know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
one with the grenade launcher.
They all just felt like assault rifles to me.
I hear you. I would say I definitely had favorites.
But I'm
I
also
mean,
not
I would
a-
say
I'm
the
not a gun
assault
nut.
rifles were definitely somewhat similar to one another.
Yes.
But also, I mean, there was the pistols, the revolvers,
Almost-
the sniper
Then there's the-
rifles.
Only use
SMGs.
I only use a pistol when you have to in a later mission where you only have a deagle for a minute.
It's so good. It's
Oh,
such
it's
a
such a
powerful
strong
gun. You can
fucking
I
take
was
out
getting
almost
my
anybody
ass
with one
beat.
bullet.
It was
Yeah,
strong.
pretty much anyone. You
A
shoot
desert-
them just once and they're dead.
Desert Eagle is a ridiculous, preposterous weapon. I like the P90.
The P90
That
was
was
really good.
one of my favorite assault
I fucking
weapons.
love
Yeah.
the P90. I think it's a really, and that's like the only gun that I see in real life. I don't see it in real life, but when I see it in actual life, like that gun looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, it's
really
a very
otherwise care
iconic.
about
It's
guns.
been it stood the
It's-
test of time, but it's also been like an iconic. Like it's been in video games for a long time.
Yeah,
you know what I
see,
mean.
It looks kind of sci-fi. It looks
Yeah.
like a carbine from Halo. It's very
It
cool.
does. I really liked the 417, the 417. It was an
Oh,
assault
yeah,
rifle
yeah,
that
the
also had a
417.
scope on it.
Yes, that was
Yeah,
that was
that
probably
one
my
was cool.
favorite early on in the game.
And then late in the game, I was really into. I'm looking up the name to make sure I got it right. Oh, the AA-12.
Oh, the automatic shotgun.
yeah.
You only get that for a minute though.
Is that the one with the stock?
It's got the stock and like the drum magazine.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
preposterous. That was
you
a
can
ridiculous weapon.
So you can find it. Sometimes you can like go back and find it.
Yeah, you can find guns places.
Like, so I carried that for like the last third of the game. And
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
Before you got
Sick.
the heavies would drop the saw. The saw was pretty.
Yeah, I
fucking
never really
good.
used those.
No?
I liked the A14 at the beginning, but then the FAMAS became my favorite. That was one that you could switch between
Didn't really
burst
use
and
that one a
auto.
lot.
See, I didn't
with
use
the-
that one either.
Oh, I love that one because you had the
Almost
scope and you could do burst, and most of the time it was one burst would kill somebody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At least the regular soldiers.
I
Love
got to
that
a
one.
point. I got to points where I was afraid to pick up a different kind of weapon that I hadn't used yet because I'm like,
Yeah.
I know how to use this one. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
What about the last thing? Last gun thing was the sniper you get towards the end of the game. That's a one-hit kill, no matter where you hit them.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous, but that thing was very fun.
Yeah.
That made some fights like possible.
Yeah. I just kind of switched between like the shotgun and the P90 and the FAMAS.
Yeah.
Those were like the three.
I didn't.
I
I didn't
kept.
care for the standard shotgun as much, but there were times where it was like super useful.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't use grenades a ton, but they were all useful. I didn't find a huge difference between the sticky grenades and the frag grenades.
They all felt the same to
The
me.
sticky grenades and the frag grenades, I liked the sticky grenades less because they don't bounce.
Right,
And I kind of
yeah.
liked that with the frag grenade, I could be like, I'm trying to throw it over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it would get wherever I needed it to go, kind of. I used the grenades a lot, though. I relied heavily on those.
I guess I used them, but I didn't ever feel like I was always like, oh shit, I should use a grenade. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh yeah, I wasn't like thinking tactically.
me,
It's
I was
how I
just like-
started a lot of fights.
that makes
Because
sense.
they'd pour in like 6 at a time.
Usually through the
And you
same
could see them
area.
all grouped
Yeah.
before they split up, so I just kind of try to like read where 3 of them were going, you know what I mean? And just throw it over there. And then fucking get behind cover and
I
start
want to
shooting.
mention there were 2 cut guns. There was an AUG, which is just like a cut sniper rifle, and also they cut a flamethrower out of the game.
Oh, well, I mean, they had the white phosphorus, so, you know, there's probably enough burning bodies.
Probably.
Did you guys? Do you guys like the blind fire when you're in cover, and you can just kind of
Only-
roughly shoot?
Only
I never
really with
used
the
it.
mounted turret. When you're on the mounted turret, you can crouch.
Oh, when you crouch, yeah.
Yeah, that's really the only time that I found it useful, because otherwise it's super inaccurate.
Yeah.
And it's really not... I really only used it if somebody was like, I was like, fuck, that guy's right there.
Yeah.
But then half the time I'd just vault, and you can knock somebody
Blast,
down by
yeah.
vaulting. You know what I mean? You knock them down and then execute them. Which, not to break what Matt was moving to next, but the executions. Did you guys execute a lot of people?
I
Did
didn't
you
get a
melee
ton of
and execute?
opportunities, but yeah,
Yeah, and
was doing it as much
you'll
as I
notice
could.
though, they get
Yeah.
more brutal as you go through the game.
they do.
At the start of the game, it's like you're just kind of, you're usually like, they're on the ground, you come up and like you just like drop a knee on their neck, or like you stomp their face.
Yeah.
And then as it keeps going, you'll put the gun in their mouth and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And then you'll like get down, punch them like 4 times and
like,
snap their neck.
shoot him in the gut, and, then
And
the
he'll
neck.
start, by the end, he's going like, kill fucking confirmed!
Yeah.
Every time he kills one. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
One of my major takeaways.
Alongside with that, you'll notice that like the character model declines. His visual appearance. Is it you pronounce the EA in that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Appearance.
there's appearance. Even though it's
his-
not where it is.
The yeah, it is. So the way he looks will
before the R.
decline in
Yeah. Appearance.
You'd say appearance, so you said appearance.
appearance.
Appearance. There we go.
Listen,
Okay.
what am I trying to say when two things move, in ratio to one another equally?
Tandem
No,
productions.
in proportion to. I think is what I was
okay.
going to say. To the landscape and to the overall state of Dubai. We haven't really gotten into like the plot just yet, but
Yeah.
Dubai is a big part of it. I'll tell you why.
Right, yeah. I watched a review where of this game where the reviewer referred to it as the country of Dubai. It's a city.
Yeah. It's in the
Well,
UAE, right?
if you're not
Just
going to
like-
say their name,
I don't remember what they were.
put them on blast. We
I
got
don't
to
know.
shame this person.
I don't know the name.
It's like it's in the,
I'll bet they were white,
It's in the UAE.
Very likely.
or at least American.
Definitely, yeah.
So the next thing I want to discuss, unless there's anything else about the overall gameplay and the feel or anything.
The only other thing I wanted that we didn't touch on was how much did you guys rely on using squad commands?
Almost never. Only
Yeah.
when it prompted
So-
me. I forgot that I could do that all the time.
With the squad commands, basically you have 2 other squad mates that you can instruct to take out enemies, and sometimes you'll be prompted to do that, but you can do it anytime in the game.
yeah, or you can have them stun them.
Yeah.
You can tap. It's like you press right bumper, and you can either hold it down, highlight an enemy, and they'll take that person out specifically, or you
Or
can
they'll
tap it
throw
and they'll throw a flash grenade.
They will in the there's a few kind of optional stealth like where you don't have to go in guns blazing. You can try to take some guys out
Yes.
silently for a while.
But they always,
that's helpful.
they almost always prompt you for that.
yeah.
You know what I
that's
mean?
right.
With like some sort of dialogue where they're like, "We'll take these guys out quiet. Just let me know which one."
yeah, that
then
was
it goes
cool.
in.
And I like that if you just like chill for a minute, they'll just talk for a while.
Yeah.
I tried to listen to all.
But
yeah.
you didn't really rely on the squad commands.
No, I kept forgetting. I would only remember to do it similarly to like when I would remember to use a grenade when I was just like, I don't know, like every time I'd peek my head out, I'd get blasted. I'd be like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And I would just tag a guy. Because one of the main criticisms is like, what's the point of aiming at a guy and pressing a button to have somebody else shoot him when you could just shoot him? You know what
Well,
I
because
mean?
you can do it from behind cover.
Can you?
Yeah, you can mark
what?
targets
Really?
from behind cover.
Fuck me.
Yeah. You just because it's a separate. You don't have to pop out from behind cover to mark.
I
targets.
thought you had to.
I
aim at
relied
them.
on it
If
pretty.
you're,
No.
say like, oh shit, like I'm
For real?
I'm- that's the whole point of it is like you're held down, you can't get a clean shot on this guy, so your squad mate is in
Yeah.
another position, you can take him out for
Because you
you.
just
That
hold
makes
right bumper
perfect
and it brings
sense.
up the triangle, and then you highlight someone.
Did
with
not
it.
know that. So
I used
I've
it pretty
watched
heavily for like
A lot of other people say the same thing in their reviews.
Yeah, any of the mounted machine guns, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You just if you highlight those when you're behind cover and like you're being held down, somebody
they'll
will fucking
blast
throw a
them?
grenade or like
Yeah.
Lugo will fucking snipe him and it's over.
I got really good at sniping those guys.
Yeah, I did
because
too.
there's just like a 5 pixel
Nugget.
Like,
yeah, it's like just this segment of their
yeah, where
head.
like the
Yeah.
shield dips down just like 2
Yeah.
inches.
It made me grit my teeth every time I got him. I'm just fucker. Blast their hair like cocksucker.
That's what I
wanna-
use a lot of grenades for too, though.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about the overall like graphics and sound presentation. Now, I mentioned when we started this, I was like, I think this game's really interesting because it has like this like very like psychedelic rock influenced soundtrack
Yeah.
with like a lot of heavier songs, and I've never really heard that type of rock in a game before. And also like a lot of action and shooter games, like they obviously use rock and roll music.
Yeah.
But it leans more toward like
Breaking
kind of
Benjamin.
like well, yeah, sure. Or like like the Mick who's the Doom composer?
Gordon.
Mick Gordon, where it's like a lot of the, like the electro influence, like
Yeah.
post metal kind of shit.
Yep.
Or
Almost-
it's like just straight up like butt rock, like butt metal, like
Yeah.
a bad Korn or Disturbed ripoff.
Yeah,
but
100%.
it weirdly worked a lot better as just instrumentals. If any of those songs had lyrics, they'd fit right in on a Korn album from 2004. But I thought it was sick. A lot of
Yeah.
the music was it was heavy.
Well-
in like a way that felt appropriate, but it had like it wasn't just like
It was groovy. It was all very
groovy,
groove
and it had these
based and like
fucking sick
you know
ass,
like droning and like it was meditative in a weird way.
yeah.
And we'll talk more about like there's other similarities with this game to like some of those classic war movies like Apocalypse Now and like Full Metal Jacket and
Big time, yeah.
Platoon and stuff like that, where like the soundtracks to those movies were acid rock. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like CCR, Jefferson Airplane, you know what I mean? That kind of shit.
Kinda
And
stoner-y,
set
doomy
and it
rock
set
metal.
the tone for those movies really, really well. And I like that they kind of took that page from them. You know what I mean? We're like, we'll set the tone of like, this is dark and
Yeah,
doomy
even though
and
this isn't
very
like
heavy
I mean a lot of
and-
that stuff was also based in the 70s and
Yeah.
where that music was really coming to a peak.
Yeah, that's what the
commercially
the
and
war.
socially.
Yeah, and then like I mean, the war was motivating that music. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
So it's cool that like even though this is like based in the mid 2000s, they're still able to find like a link to make that sort of sound relevant to this game.
cue fucking Ron Perlman. War never changes.
Yeah, there was one track in particular. I'm like, this sounds like a Tool song, but like without all the pretense of fucking Tool.
Without all the pompous bullshit.
Because it
on
starts
top
with that
of
cool,
it.
almost sounds like the beginning of Aerials. You know, the Aerials riff, and then it just gets really cool. The licensed music,
Hush.
we got Hush from Deep Purple. That was kind of like the first part where when you first start the game, you're like, oh, I recognize that. You can like listen to the song, and it was cool. Jesus Christ.
Nowhere to Run. I think it's Martha and the Vandellas
Yep,
version.
that's from the Warriors too. That was my
Okay, yeah.
it's a callback to that. Nowhere to run to, baby.
Like
That was
that was fucking
glad
heavy.
Yeah.
I was afraid though the entire time that I was gonna hear all of the most like the cliched like
gonna be
Vietnam and like
White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. Yeah.
I don't even know. Unfortunate song. I was like, I'm so sick. Or and the white line is talking backwards. Whatever the fuck that song is.
Yeah, that's White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. That's
So sick of hearing those in war scenes. I'm very glad this game didn't have that.
Yeah, it didn't go with the cliches.
Yeah.
But it still stayed in the genre and still got
Very
the,
cool.
Yeah, and it also really worked, with the actual themes of the game in the specific like story, like that it's the music's not just there for no reason.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into, and then also just the graphics. This is a game from 2012. It looks pretty fucking good. It's not so hyper realistic that it gets that kind of like gross uncanny valley thing sometimes. It's like just stylized enough that it just like looks pretty fucking solid.
And they never keep on anything too long so that you can start seeing the seams.
Yeah, there's like one or two shots where they keep on someone's face for a while and it like you see the age of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it
Oh,
doesn't
100%.
like it doesn't look bad ever.
No, I don't think it ever looks bad, and they made a lot of stylistic choices, and like especially like in like the middle of the game, you know what I mean? Like probably like when it starts to fucking
Like straight up cinematic
shit.
Like where like I'd stop and I'd be like, holy shit, just looking at
They
this.
do a really good job of setting the atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Like the building with the gigantic aquarium inside of it.
Yeah,
was
and then
really
even
late,
well before
but
that,
still.
when you're just like, there's just like sand, and everything's like red, and
have
it's
some,
chaos, and it's like
Mad Max Fury Road. Looking
yes,
scenes.
yes, 100%. It's very Mad
Yeah.
Max a couple times, where like it has that chaotic, doomy energy.
Yeah, for a game set in a desert during a sandstorm, it is surprisingly varied in its level design and presentation.
Yeah, and that probably speaks also to the setting choice. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
that Dubai is it's excess. You know what I mean? It's all about excess.
It's a very excessive country.
Yes.
Really great. The whole country of
the
Dubai.
whole country of Dubai is very excessive.
A lot
so-
smaller than it seems.
Anyway, that's like the basic
country.
this and that of the technical aspect of things. But let's talk about the plot and the overall campaign. It is held across 15 missions, sometimes or chapters. I think actually is how the game presents them.
Yeah.
Not always clear when you jump from one chapter to the next.
Yeah.
I'd say the always the telling thing is in the start menu. If you're finding the intel, is it'll reset back to 0.
That was my main way.
and that's usually how I check.
But it was very awkward to me that some chapters said chapter 1, name of the chapter, and
Yeah.
then it'd be like chapter 4. I was like, wait, what?
yeah, precisely.
Did I not off for like the headers?
I'm not sure.
was that every time I looked away was when it presented
Yeah,
the chapter?
we should
Just don't do it every time.
No.
Can we? Is it for sure? Because that's what I thought was happening.
I've played through the game 3 times now.
and you had the same thing.
Never
It's
noticed
just not
it.
always there.
And I think it might be because they didn't really want to cut up the story. And like in the moments where it kind of gives you the next chapter, it kind of makes sense. There's a dramatic moment or kind of that from what I remember, or there's like a cut in time or something, or
Yes,
Yeah.
I would have at least put the name of the chapter you're on the pause menu.
Yeah.
like, yeah, agreed.
Just
That
because
was
they did name them all.
yeah.
And you only know the names if you go into the... You'll only know the names if you go into the mission chapter select screen, which is
Yeah, the
also
main
pretty
menu.
fucking sick on the main menu.
It's
there,
super
where it's
We
like,
want to do that now. Yeah.
it's a map of the...
It's the map of Dubai,
Yeah.
of the city of Dubai, and
And you
it's
see
kind
your
of like
the whole, like, you
it
went
shows
through
the
the whole
path
place.
you went, and
Yeah.
you progress literally. Like you're like, okay, I want to go to like the 6th mission, and you're like, okay, well, you were like a third of the way into the city of Dubai. at
It's
that
really
point.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's,
It's
like,
super
it's like a
cool.
full, like, full
like
scale
a table.
third
It's like
a diorama,
model.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you'd see, on like a, in a war room.
Yeah,
They often have things like that.
And
it was
think,
super fucking cool.
we'll get more into it as it unfolds, but the intro screen is dynamic. It will change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which I
we
think-
can just mention. Well, let's talk about that a bit later.
Okay,
because
I'm
there's a lot
afraid-
of stuff in the game like that.
I'm afraid that people could miss that, especially like you. How many sessions did you beat this game in? 3?
2 sessions.
2. Yeah. So like you might not have even seen all of those.
Yeah.
No, there was ones I didn't see. I looked up a video that showed me a few
Yeah.
that I missed.
Yeah. And not just the loading screens. I mean, like the actual title sequence is
Yeah,
different.
like the main menu.
There might be 15 different ones. That, like, I don't know. Do you remember the total?
Oh, right. There could be. I mean, in
For
between
each
each.
chapter.
It
it's
change, I
based
believe
on-
it does change every chapter.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
And props to the like. There is the collectibles, at least like not more than 2 in any given chapter.
No, I believe
right?
there is 2 in every single chapter.
Okay, yeah, and I
And they
love
all
that they-
build on the story too.
But they tell you right in this, you pause it and it's like you have 1 out of 2 or 0 out of 2 or 2 out of 2. They don't keep it like how many are there?
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
They're I think they're Intel is what they're called.
Intel,
yes.
yes.
And they are just like story building items. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like oh, you found the golden dog tags.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Come on, Gears of War.
Right.
basically
Or just like in the games where it's like you collected intel, and it's just
It's
like,
like, all right.
okay, there's nothing to read. It's just like you got it. You got the you got the
You
intel.
found it.
I'm looking at you, Call of Duty.
You're like, yay.
the first time I did play through this was similar to Alan Wake, where I was like, I think I got a grip on it, but I was like, wait, who is that? Wait, what was their motivations? Like, what's going on here exactly? Like, I had a little bit of difficulty just getting. So I was trying to pause through that, and then I just talked right through it.
tried to mute it. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I had a little bit of difficulty just keeping all of the players straight. Like, even if I knew the big moving pieces, sometimes it was a little confusing. So I'm going to read some of this from Wikipedia and kind of give my own interjection here as well. But basically, 6 months before the game starts, there's a ton of really bad sandstorms in Dubai. They're the worst ever in recorded history. And so the city elites are downplaying the situation, saying it's not a big deal, but they are leaving. And so you have a bunch of civilians there who are stuck and basically going to be ravaged by this sandstorm.
Now, from what I understand, this is it's like a maelstrom. It's like an impossibly, it's like a supernatural sandstorm.
Yeah, like Matt
to
said,
the
it's the
class.
worst in recorded history.
Yeah, and it's
the
not
world
just
has
like-
never seen this.
It's like, oh no, we got to stand inside, or we got to stay inside. Our shoes are gonna fill up with sand. They said it was it was sandblasting paint off of buildings.
Oh, like it would rip your
That's-
skin off if you were
that is
outside, I imagine.
Propo-
Like tear the flesh from
brutal.
your...
Yeah. So I'm sorry, and to build on what you're saying, like the wealthy people of Dubai were mostly able to leave. So it's just the like the lower, because what they do act in real Dubai is like they bring in not refugees but people from other countries that they pay nothing to use pretty much as slaves essentially to build
For labor.
to build all their infrastructure. So it's those people that were left.
Yeah, so the damned 33rd Infantry Battalion of the U.S. Army, led by Colonel John Conrad.
John Conrad.
Conrad.
I'll just say right now, it should be very obvious if you're familiar with the source material, but this is heavily influenced by Heart of Darkness, by Joseph Conrad, the author, and also Apocalypse Now. So it's like, I do believe the Conrad name is a reference to Conrad that wrote Heart of Darkness, because it's not the same story, but it's kind of the same story.
Yeah, at least like the base concept is the same.
Yeah, and I mean, there's heavy allusions to that work, to both those works.
And just to state the maybe obvious, the Heart of Darkness relates to in a literary sense relates to the capacity to do terrible things as an otherwise good person.
Sure,
I believe is how it's been described to me by videos that I watched about it.
I think it's the sort of conflict between the army's supposed to do the right thing and protect people, and you're serving and you're but also, oh my God, what the fuck is the horrors of war? Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So anyway, they're returning home from Afghanistan and they get stuck there when the storms strike. So Conrad and the 33rd help to volunteer and do a relief effort and try to help evacuate the city.
All the citizens that were
they're
left.
defying orders that the army gave them to abandon the city. So the damn 33rd kind of breaks off because they're like, no, we're not going to fuck these people over.
Yeah, we're not going to
I
leave
think the
thousands of people to die here.
The 33rd was taken out of Afghanistan from active combat to do this mission. If I remember correctly, that might be wrong.
My understanding is they were returning home from Afghanistan, en route back to the U.S. They were in Dubai
Oh,
on a
and
layover.
that was a okay.
Yeah,
And
because
then-
it was their choice to do this. They were defying the order was
I
to
see, okay.
abandon.
I understand now.
See, I just said it, and you didn't catch what I said.
That's
you completely
right.
said the opposite. It's kind of like what happened to me when I was watching the game. I was like, okay, they're doing this. Wait, why
Yeah.
are they? Because the game is told the story of the game.
I gotta grab my laptop. I guess buried.
Okay,
Do you need the shovel?
she's mad.
She's losing her damn mind.
She's just been yelling at
You gotta shut that damn cat up before I shut her up for you.
The story of the game is told all out of order, and half bits really inferred through
Yeah, a lot of
context, and there's a lot of like, are they telling the truth? Can we trust them?
Yeah, there was even like intel I picked up at some points in the game that was like from one character's point of view, where I was like, can I trust this person's point of view? You know what I mean? Like, not even like, they might not be lying.
It's like
you
watching,
know what I mean?
like-
But I can't tell if this character is like kind of unhinged.
Yeah,
And so what
they're
they're saying is
crazy.
like their own delusion. You know what I mean?
Or they think they know that to be the truth.
Yeah,
It's like watching,
exactly. Like they're
watching-
not lying, but they're lying. You
It's
know
like
what I
watching
mean?
Breaking Bad. You're like, I don't know what's real. You know, the entire time.
So basically, Conrad and the 33rd are there. They're defying orders. They're staying. They're trying to help relief effort in the city. Things get out of control. They declare martial law and begin going ham on the civilians, committing all sorts of atrocities on the civilian population. So there is a coup against Conrad. So the 33rd is now split in half, with some Conrad loyalists who are basically war criminals,
Yes.
and some who are trying to fight against him.
Jesus, I thought he was part of the good guys.
No, he was one of
Fuck.
the war criminals.
Yeah, he's the warlord.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was someone else's interpretation of him. Jesus, okay.
And so the CIA sends in a black ops squad to investigate and to try to, get the whole thing cleaned up. They start arming the locals.
That's worked every time we've done that in the Middle East
So that
or anywhere.
they're arming the locals to fight against the 33rd, which they know is not gonna go well.
Yeah.
But so the last communication from Dubai stated that the 33rd was attempting to lead a caravan out of the city. The caravan never arrived, and then the United States Arab Emirates declared the situation.
Fubar?
Sure. Yeah, basically.
Fucked up beyond all repair, right? That's what it is.
Reason?
Or
So
recognition.
all travel to
Yeah.
the city was
Any
barred.
R word.
The 33rd was publicly disavowed for treason, and no further news left the city. Now, 2 weeks before the start of the story, after this had been months of the back and forth between Conrad, 33rd fighting against itself, the CIA coming in and further complicating the situation, you get a message from Conrad is looping, and it's like it's the signal penetrated the storm wall, so it's finally gotten out there because nobody knows what's going on in Dubai. 'Cause it's just been like fucking basically shut down, closed off. This is Colonel John Conrad, United States Army. Attempted evacuation of Dubai ended in complete failure. Death toll, too many. So the U.S. decides to send in a Delta Force team of Captain Martin Walker, who served alongside Conrad in Afghanistan.
in
And they're
Kabul. I
pretty
believe.
familiar with
Yeah.
one another. Yeah. It's Cable.
Oh, my bad.
No, I think you're right.
It's
They
Kabul,
say
yeah.
Kabul, they say Kabul.
Yeah,
don't know how
I'm
to-
sure it's just a
I'm sure we're saying
white
it
people
wrong.
saying it.
So there's Lieutenant Alfonso Adams, who I just
Alfonso?
I never knew his first name was
Yeah.
Alfonso.
I didn't either. I didn't know any of that. I just knew Walker, Adams, and then
And
Lugo.
Staff Sergeant,
Lugo.
whose first name is
It's like
I have no fucking clue. I just admitted I didn't know any of their first names.
it's not a common name, I don't believe.
yeah, it's not, it's John.
Wait, what? It's John Lugo?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yes. So what they're ordered to do.
Yes, it is.
It's John Lugo?
Yes.
And also John Conrad?
It's John Conrad. Yeah, sorry, it's Martin Walker.
Yeah. Well,
Doug
I-
Walker?
it is a very common name.
I think you're lying to me.
I know you've been hurt before, but I don't think I've ever lied to you in the entire time I've known you. I've been painfully honest with you.
What's the difference?
Sometimes you would have preferred he lied to you. But
Tell me sweet nothings.
So,
your big boots.
so this is where the game starts. Basically, super fucked up situation.
yep.
and you go in with your Martin. You got Lugo and Walker.
Adams.
You're Walker.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Lugo and Adams. I feel like he never says Adams. I feel like he says Lugo all the time.
He says Lugo a lot. He talks to Adams a lot in the cutscenes, but he doesn't yell to Adams a lot because when you're spotting, so Lugo's a sniper.
Right.
Adams is like the heavy guy. He's got the saw on him the whole time. So usually when you're like marking a target, you're marking him for a sniper.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're usually like, Lugo, take him down. You know what I mean? But, I don't know.
Anyway,
Look at me. Look, take down.
when Walker goes in, all he knows is that Conrad sent out this message and that he served under Conrad or served alongside Conrad, and he has great respect for him. And all they're supposed to go in and do is confirm the situation, see if there's any survivors, just as it's like a reconnaissance mission.
It's just supposed to be recon
You're supposed
and
to
report.
look and then extract immediately.
If you see
like,
something, say
report.
something.
Yeah.
Observe and report, though. That's all you're supposed to do. Is they were, and I think he feels this obligation to Conrad because he saved his life or something. That's why he has so much respect for him. Or it's
Yes.
implied that at some point during the war that they were fighting in, you know what I mean, that he saved him.
Yeah.
He does believe he owes Conrad his life in some way. So, this is where the game starts. Pretty much. But the game really starts where you're in a helicopter fight. You're on like a giant fucking chain gun on a helicopter. The sandstorm's coming, and you are fighting a bunch of other helicopters. It's super fucking intense.
Yeah.
You hit the fucking storm wall, blackout,
Like another helicopter crashes into you, I think, and it just fades to black.
and then you wake up and you're walking through the desert with your two buddies.
You are the three buddies.
You are the three amigos, so to speak.
Yeah.
And did you guys notice, because this is something that I noticed on my second playthrough, one of the first things you encounter in this story, as you're walking, is a big stop sign.
No. I didn't notice
It's one of the first fucking things you see before you even hit anything. There's a thing that says stop. And because the whole game is about this situation that Martin and everybody else is in, like Walker, just getting more and more out of control and fucked up, and Walker constantly saying, like, they gave me no choice. I had no choice. I had to keep going.
It's this idea that you have to keep pushing forward. It's this idea that like you just have to blindly follow orders and keep going forward, even though almost immediately they've disobeyed the order of see what's up and come back.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch anything. You know what I mean? Like,
We can fix this.
Right.
Entire city.
So it's one of those things that on my second playthrough I was like, oh shit. Like, it doesn't mean anything the first time.
Yeah.
But the second time you're like, the signs were always there, literally,
telling you to stop.
telling you like, hey, you don't need to do this.
And that's not you just like aggrandizing a stop sign. Like this game is full of
This
those.
game is full of imagery and also like a lot of really
Symbolism.
intentional symbolism and stuff. And it's like, it is literally like the first fucking thing you see.
There's a lot of symbology happening in
Yes.
this.
So the game opens with that helicopter, scene before the action really starts.
Yeah.
Did you notice that it said special guest and then
Halberto?
yeah,
Yeah, did you see
like
that?
in the opening credits crawl, it lists you
No.
as a
Yeah.
special guest.
Oh,
in the game.
fucking A, I didn't
Yeah.
notice. I was not
like,
paying
whoa.
attention to the credits. I was like, I'm in it. Who am I? I don't remember doing this.
Which people have looked into that a lot.
Yeah.
As to what implication that has.
It's
in the
similar
story.
to like the the relationship between like Alan Wake and Thomas Zane. It's like who made who, like
Yeah.
who's pulling the strings here.
Yeah.
So that's when you get the voiceover explaining the bit of the background, which I gave a very in-depth background just so we're not stumbling over ourselves as we discuss the finer points of the story. But you get the thing where Conrad's saying that, they failed the evacuation and now you're going in to get it. As you're walking, once you get full control of the player, you're going through, and you guys are even kind of like lighthearted a little bit. You're like joking and
Yeah.
stuff.
You keep there's like this dynamic between Adams and Lugo, where it's basically like Lugo's kind of seems like he's maybe the younger one, and he's constantly cracking jokes as you're
Yeah.
walking through, and Adams
He's a
is
hot
like,
cock.
he's like, you shut up. That's it. You can't.
Yeah.
Listen, we're supposed to be taking this seriously.
I think Adam says like somebody's asked for a status, and he just says that he's chafed.
Yeah. Status chafed.
He says there's insurgents that have invaded the American region known as my pants or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it says here, like, that you're like, when you start, you're 800 yards from the transmission point. Like, you're literally
So close.
there.
Yeah.
So they also say Walker reminds everyone that this is a designated no man's land and you have to do everything by the book. Walker starts out being very like, we have to do this right. We're in and out, guys.
Rules
Cut
of
and dry.
engagement. Yeah.
So the group, as you're walking through, you pull up a tarp and you see like a dead body of a 33rd soldier. And you're like, oh shit. Like, this is the 33rd. Like, we're trying to figure out what happened to them. And that's where you find Conrad leaves a message saying that they're under extreme duress and he forced the 33rd to stay in Dubai and that their desertion from the army is entirely his fault. That Conrad's taking full responsibility for everything that's happened here. Which, again, I think if you think deeper about what happens in the story, the fact that Conrad, one of the first like messages that Walker gets from him, not counting the looped distress call, which is like, just who knows when that was recorded. It's been pinging throughout.
Yeah, it could have been playing for 6 months, for a month, for a couple weeks. What I mean? Who knows?
He's saying like, under extreme duress, I forced these guys to stay here. We deserted the army. This is my fault. And you find a distress beacon that was built from spare parts, and you're like, what the fuck is all this? So you are walking through, you find a group of refugees who you believe are survivors of the sandstorm, and you try to identify yourself. You're like, hey, we're looking for survivors, and they ask, oh, why? So you can kill us too?
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh my god.
Said, why are you so aggro, bro? That's how Walker talks. we haven't talked about that yet.
They open fire on you, and you
blast their ass.
Yeah, you're pretty much left with no choice at this point.
You have to defend
There's
yourself.
always a choice, Matt. I killed these fucking guys.
Yeah, I killed these fucking guys.
And specifically by shooting the glass thing that was behind them, holding a bunch of sand that just dumped all over them.
Just jumped the sand.
There's actually a lot of instances of that where sometimes the game tells you like blast the glass to release the sand, but other times you can just do it.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of like interactable environments. You know what I mean? And like destructible environments, I guess is what I wanted to say. Because obviously you can
that aren't
interact
always
with the
highlighted, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, all right, cool, I get it. Like you've built this whole scene, but other times it's like, oh, you can use the playfield to your advantage however you choose.
Yeah.
So after you fight through them, you receive a call from Alpha Team. Your Delta Team. Alpha Team, they have 4 U.S. soldiers who are pinned down and running out of ammo. And that's when Walker decides, we gotta go get these guys. We gotta help them,
yeah.
So it's like, you confirmed survivors right there in that first battle. You don't really know what's going on. Because it's like, why would they respond to you that way?
Yeah.
But this is like where you've crossed the threshold now.
Yeah, this is no longer by the books. You're no longer directly obeying orders because at this point you've decided, we were told to do this, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
But at this point, Walker's making decisions for the squad that are outside of what they were told to do.
But even that's like relatable. If you get into a place and they're like, we're on your team and we're getting killed, help us. Like, I was we got our orders, we gotta go actually, sorry.
Exactly, it gives you the, it gives you that idea of what Matt said, or what you said when they started shooting and stuff, where it's like, you had no other choice.
Yeah.
It continues to really push this whole, you have no other choice. This was the only choice we had. We had to do this, and this is like the beginning of that.
So you fight your way through like a giant downed airplane and stuff. Like there's a really crazy battle like as you're going through the desert here. And
yeah, because you're still kind of on the outskirts of Dubai, so this is still like where a lot of the evacuation attempt clearly went south.
Yeah.
Like there's large structures and like vehicles and shit like that just half buried or fully buried in the sand.
Yeah.
And it's fucking, you don't know whether you're like walking on top of a building or, you know what I mean, just a sand dune sometimes.
The terrain's all fucked.
Yeah.
It's a lot like the, like the desert levels in Super Mario 3 where there's like the jumping fire snakes and stuff.
Yeah. There's the burb.
Pyramids.
The one where the sun comes and gets you.
I hate it. It scares me.
So you fight your way through there. You find Alpha Team is being executed. 2 of the members are already dead and 1 is still alive. And you try your best to rescue him. Then you get shot.
Doesn't work out.
So he tells you that the remaining...
Was that McPherson?
No.
All right.
he tells you, the dying man tells you that they took McPherson to a place called The Nest. You try to press him for more info on Conrad, but he dies. So you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
We still don't know what's up with Conrad, because you're supposed to confirm, like, you know, the status of him as well.
Well, and I believe it starts to touch on it now, but because obviously we said Martin feels this obligation to Conrad, but he keeps saying this thing where he's like, I trust this man. Whatever he did was the right move. You know what I mean? So we have to help him. His idea is still at this point is like, we have to go help Conrad with whatever he's doing. We got to get him out of here. We got to talk to him. If we get to Conrad, he'll explain everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he'll have all the answers.
We just don't understand.
He'll have all the answers. He'll tell us what's going on. We'll figure this out if we get to him.
So this is where you actively declare that you're abandoning your recon mission in favor of a rescue mission. You need to go get McPherson out of the nest. So that's Chapter 1. Chapter 1 titled The Evacuation.
Evac.
Chapter 2 is The Dune. You and your men battle toward the
Frank
nest.
Hebert's The Dune.
As you're going through, like, you're going through buildings and desert, and you encounter this, like, bizarre radio signal that's playing psychedelic rock music, and stating that an unprovoked assault on the 33rd has put an end to the previously enforced ceasefire. So there was a ceasefire between the civilians and the 33rd, but something broke it.
In that first chapter, you're only fighting what they called the insurgents, the civilians, the refugees. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, I don't think you start seeing American soldiers just yet.
It was.
Was it not American soldiers who captured McPherson?
I don't think so.
No, okay. Because I can't remember when it reaches a point where they're like, "We're killing."
Well, you don't see
That's
McPherson
where I'm
yet.
at, yeah.
I mean, you're not to him yet.
Well, yeah, no, but you find the guys who, you know what I mean, are related to the people who are executing them and capturing them. I couldn't remember.
That was hazy for me.
Yeah, I don't think that's American soldiers keeping them there. But yeah, even seeing here, it says, in the opening dialogue, was John Conrad the greatest man I ever served with? Well, I don't know. There was this one time in Kabul where he dragged my bleeding carcass half a mile to the evac chopper. Helicopter.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm biased. But the facts don't lie. The man's a fucking hero. Remember when the first storms hit Dubai? You were probably safe and sound at home watching TV. Well, Conrad was leading the damn 33rd out of Afghanistan. Instead of coming home, he volunteered his entire battalion to help with the evac. But all you did was send a check. Rumor is that Conrad was ordered to abandon the city. He defied that order, and the 33rd stood with him. Now, the official story is still hazy about what happened next. All we know for sure is the storms got worse. Much worse. So it's like, in Walker's mind, he's like, Conrad's someone who's putting, like, his, duty to protect his fellow man above the orders of the U.S. Army.
Yeah, in his mind, he's like, but he's making the ultimate sacrifice. He's being a true hero by being like, no, my duty is to protect. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm doing.
And do what's best for his men that he's in charge of. Do you guys remember, is a battalion a 100 or 1,000 troops? Do you remember?
I don't know, because there's like battalion, garrison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know how that works.
Do a little searchy.
I don't know a lot about the army.
I certainly don't either. How many soldiers in battalion? That's very vague. 300 to 1,000.
Okay.
So,
anywhere from 300 to 1,000 guys.
we don't know.
Okay. So, what was curious to me is when the radio voice, the unknown DJ person, says that there was a unprovoked attack on the 33rd. Was that
lie.
the firefight that you just got into? Like, somehow?
Well, that's why I can't remember if you were fighting American soldiers there when they were executing.
I don't think we were.
No.
Because
you're fighting insurgents when you shoot the window and it drops the sand, those are insurgents. You know what I mean?
Right. To my memory, they all look the same.
Yeah.
In terms of their garb and stuff.
Because, and like you said, later on, when you are certainly fighting American soldiers, everyone mentions it.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I don't think you were at that point.
No, I don't believe so. So it must have just been something. I thought you maybe. Don't you hear a firefight of some sort as you're coming in?
You do.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's what it is. So you battle your way toward the nest. This is the start of Chapter 2, the Dune. You encounter that bizarre radio signal where they talk about the ceasefire. As you go forward, you're outside here, and you encounter an ambush. And there's like the building where the facade's all opened up.
And there's like
Oh,
snipers.
yes.
Snipers
And it's
picking
a
up.
really intense battle.
Yeah.
And you're going through as long as you can, and then suddenly the sandstorms pick up.
Yeah.
And that's where you get like fucking swept away into the sandstorm. Like you're trying to hold on, and it's like, whoosh. And this is like in the game where I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking sick.
You hear it in
Yeah.
the distance. You're like, it's coming! And then you get sucked down.
I don't know if I've ever actually heard that song really.
No, it was it played at every single middle school or high school dance
And we had a...
ever that we went to. We don't need to tell everybody.
No?
No.
So chapter 3 is titled Underneath, and I think this might be one of the first ones, either 3 or 4 is one of the first ones where I was like, wait a minute, where did the chapter headers go?
Yeah, that's where I got lost.
So you crash land from the sandstorm sweeping you up into an abandoned hotel.
I think you get sucked down like into like a sand vortex, right? And you fall into the building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you crash land into the hotel. And I guess you fall down into it.
You
Either way.
snap your tailbone.
You do, but they don't really mention that. So
all
you're
break
fighting
their
through,
asses.
and then you're hit with a bunch of C4, and they're basically trying to like,
Yeah, they just drop it from the ceiling, right? Like through the
yeah,
glass windows or whatever. They're suddenly you're like, there's C4 everywhere. We're gonna move.
yeah, and like there's like a locked gate, and you're like, we gotta get through here.
That was fucking intense.
And it's like, are they just trying to fucking collapse the building on us? Pretty much.
really
Seems
want you
effectively,
dead.
yeah.
So you survive and you attempt to escape, but then all of a sudden a door opens. You fucking duck down, and there's an American officer talking to 2 of the locals, and that's Agent Castavan.
And he's a.
You don't know who he is just
Okay,
yet.
we don't know who he's associated with.
You hide, and he's like, what the fuck? You're fucking C4 in this building? That's so fucking stupid. You could have killed everybody. And they're like, we couldn't let them escape. I don't know. It's like,
Come on, guy.
Well, they got out anyway, so.
he's like, well, fucking find him, take
get
care
him.
of it. And he's walking away. And you guys are all like, what? He was American. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
What is this situation? Because,
We mentioned in the preamble that the CIA is involved here, but I don't believe you yet know the CIA is involved.
no, you don't.
Because there's nobody knows what's going on in the city.
You think,
Nobody knows what's going on.
You think the city's in ruin and that there's just
You know who does know what's going on? The people who sent you there.
You think they had full awareness of the situation?
I'm pretty sure that they knew.
Those people
Unless it was a
wouldn't do that.
complete secret operation that the CIA was doing everything completely in secret.
It kind of implies that.
I just
get
figured
into
that
it.
you were so lowly that like they wouldn't fill you in.
We'll definitely talk about it more later.
Because like there'd be plausible deniability and stuff if they like sent you in and you were like, oh, here's what we found. Like it's nothing. Basically.
I have some theories
okay
that we can get into later.
All right, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Some game theories?
Some game theories, but I have some theories that I don't want to get into
So
right now.
so you're hiding, but you get spotted and you have to fight your way, through the hotel further and further. So you're fighting through these guys that have spotted you, but as you're doing this, you're wondering, like, why are they taking orders from an American, and why is this American and the locals, why are they fighting the 33rd?
Yeah.
Because your understanding is still that the 33rd was there to help the locals evac.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they'd be fighting.
Yeah.
And then you overhear that McPherson is being kept in the basement. So as you're fighting your way down to the basement, there's another sandstorm, and you just go deeper and deeper into the building. As you get deeper, you enter Chapter 4, the refugees, and this is where you finally begin
Chapter
to
4,
enter
balls deep.
the nest.
And this is not an underground building. It's like
It's underground now.
it's underground now.
Yeah, from the sandstorms, like segments of it
Which is
are.
something I kept forgetting that we're buried because of the sandstorm, not because this is some weird underground.
Right, yeah, you have no idea
Establishment.
where you're at in terms of elevation.
Yeah, 'cause it's just-
completely fucked.
triple darkness outside those windows.
So you crash through deeper into the nest and you're finding like this is where it's almost like horror-esque because it's just like it's all candlelight and you're like, people are living down here. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And this is where I got very frustrated. I was super frustrated with this in Max Payne 3, where on your second playthrough, it doesn't, like, if you find a collectible in Max Payne 3, it stops and he gives a voiceover.
Yes.
It goes into a, you lose control of the camera. It goes into like a first-person kind of perspective, I think.
Something. It like zooms
like
in on the object or...
I thought it was like it went at a separate angle.
Either way, it's not the player camera.
Yes.
Some sort of cinematic thing happens.
There's another camera. It goes and it like hovers on the object.
Yep.
And it plays a voiceover. If you collect a pickup on your second playthrough, the same one, it'll do that whole scene sans voiceover. So you unless you remember what was said, you're missing that crucial story context. And here is where you find a doll. I believe.
You find it's like a bear. It's a little stuffed animal. It's a pink bear, if I remember right. And its eyeballs have been replaced by diamond earrings.
Yeah.
Which implies that he's like, this is when, because basically what he says is, this is like, it has diamond earrings for eyes, which means that somebody found those diamond earrings in the rubble, like a kid, and used those as the eyes for this, which means that they've been living here long enough to have done that. You know what I mean? Effectively, like, this didn't just happen 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? This isn't something that they just started living down here. They've been living down here.
Yeah, which I, on this playthrough, didn't find that and completely forgot about that context, which I think is like, the intel is all kind of crucial to really getting what's happening in the story. And
Yes.
It's super fucking frustrating that, like, they couldn't just put the items in there again.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, it would be hard to know.
I'd have to, like, erase all my save data entirely.
I think so, yeah.
To get it?
Maybe, but I don't know if you can access the intel just at any point in the game by holding back.
I never tried to do that.
I'm not sure if you can.
Well, regardless, as you're going deeper into the nest, it's a spooky atmosphere.
Yes.
And when I was first playing this, I was like, oh god, like, is it going to get supernatural? And it's
Right.
like, no, there's underground, they need candles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't see shit.
Gotta see.
For some reason, they don't have electricity in there.
Probably all the sand.
I don't think so.
The sand is
I think they
clogging
just couldn't
up.
pay the bill. So
Dubai, there's still somebody like nobody can communicate to them in Dubai, but like someone's still setting in like shut off notices.
Joseph has not paid his bill for the third month. Flicking that switch. Come on, Joseph.
Joseph is buried beneath 2 tons of sand.
This is corpse.
He's
on,
become
Joseph.
glass.
He's like the person's like licking the like letter to like send him out in the mail. So gotta pay your bill.
as you progress through the nest, the tension's like palpable. Things are getting more and more tense, basically.
You're starting to feel more boxed in, I feel like, too, as you move lower and lower.
So you approach McPherson, who you find at gunpoint being interrogated by Castavan. And this is where Castavan reveals himself to be a CIA agent. And this is where the pieces of the puzzle, you start to even understand that there's pieces to the puzzle. You didn't even know there was a puzzle.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing a couple pieces, you're like,
Uh-oh.
uh-oh, what's popping tonight? McPherson wrestles the gun away from Castavan, shoots him in the head.
Pops
and then
him.
you're like, hey, like, we were coming to help you. And he's like, whatever, bitch, I don't need your help. So you can choose to either shoot McPherson or let him escape.
He has his hand, he's like slowly creeping towards that rappel. The rappel rope behind him.
Yeah.
The Repope.
The rope, yeah.
Sorry,
Or repoping down a building.
Yeah.
What did you choose to do? Did you shoot him or let him go?
What did you
I
do?
didn't even know you could shoot him. I just let him keep going.
So
He just left.
You can shoot anybody in this game, pretty much.
Well, yeah, that's fair, because I think...
You learn that later on.
No, I think even like right before this part, there's a moment where like there's just one refugee runs past you. It's a woman, and like I was so in like murder mode that like the moment she passed, there's boom, and I shot her and she hit the ground. I was like, that was a woman with no
Yeah.
weapon. I was like, I messaged you guys. I was
You're
like,
like, I just murdered a
I just
lady.
killed an innocent woman.
And we
I
said
didn't
it
mean to.
In real life?
Oh, I deleted that message because I was like, I don't need to know that this happened.
It's like a,
Wash my hands of that.
talking about
That's why I haven't messaged you since then, because I blocked you.
talking about pleading ignorance earlier.
You guys were all shocked when I showed up today.
Yeah, like, I'm still here. Jeez, like, no one's found her yet. What did you do, Matt?
I let him go.
You let him go. I tried to find the happy medium. I blasted him right in the thigh, or not in the thigh. I blasted him in the shin.
The nut.
Because I was like, I need to incapacitate this man.
Nut shot.
Because I don't think it's a good thing that he gets away, even though you're actively having that conversation as you can see him sneaking away, and you still don't grasp the gravity of the situation.
Right, he knows you don't. He's
Yeah.
like, figure it out.
And he's being very
Suck
vague
up.
about it, but I was like, we shouldn't let him get away, but I don't want to kill him. So I blasted him in the shin, and he opened up on us, so we had to kill him.
Oh,
Yeah. It was,
Okay.
sad times. I just let him rappel down because I wasn't at the, like, I didn't think to, at that point I didn't think to shoot him. I didn't
So
realize
does-
there was a decision at that point.
So he factors in later on, if he's still alive, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Not that I, as someone who didn't kill him, I don't remember.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like,
So maybe he just gets away.
or
That's
maybe you
fine.
just kill him later in another firefight and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're all just bodies. You know what I mean?
That's all we are.
So there's a bit of trivia for this chapter here.
Oh.
McPherson is either killed or repels away. Adam confirms that Castavan is with the CIA. Your team repels down, discovering CIA equipment and surveillance photos. Among them is Castavan's log, which details his observation that Dubai has gone to hell, with civilians rioting and attempting, they're all killing one another. They're just
Just
Everything's
murder
fucked.
happened. Everybody's
going
killing each
wild.
other.
He says that the 33rd tried to control the populace, but only made things worse with their martial law. So they sent Agent Daniel to go back beyond the storm wall to radio the situation to Langley AFB.
Langley Air Force Base.
Right. I was like, what does that mean? In the last sentence, he remarks that he predicts Langley will return with their own bad news. So if McPherson was allowed to escape, he'll now attack the team, your team, with a bunch of 33rd soldiers.
Oh, okay.
All right.
If not, then you simply discuss your confusion on why the CIA is fighting with the 33rd. You don't understand the situation.
Then that's what I got. Yes.
So in the CIA base, you can find 4 bulletproof vests that say press on them, which
Oh, okay.
implies that the CIA unit was actually sent to Dubai before the storms hit.
Oh.
And they were kind of like, covertly, being there undercover as appearing as press.
Fucking A, dude. That didn't click for me. I might not have noticed that either.
I don't think I saw those at all. Yeah.
That's deep.
And this is like,
'Cause
it's implying that, but it's like, why would they have those?
Yeah.
I felt like this game does a really good job of like you're equal to the squad that you play as. You have no fucking idea what's going on.
Yeah, you generally don't have.
You don't? But the thing is,
I was as baffled.
once I played it again and I read a little bit more in the game, it was like, damn, they actually do give you like all the info you'd need
Yeah.
to figure it out. If you think critically about the situation, you could make a pretty good guess of where things are headed.
Well, that's also kind of what they. That's kind of implied about your character too, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By the end, that they're
Right.
just like, if you had really stopped, again, stop. If you had stopped, you know what I mean, and thought for a moment, you could have seen what was going to happen. You know what I mean? You could have kind of read the situation.
I do find that as we do this series, I've played, I am like getting better at like juggling these kind of like not cryptic, but like stories with a lot of moving parts a little bit better. Because this time around, even though there's already been like 5 examples of me being like, oh, that thing was entirely different than what I thought. I feel like I was like managing to stay a little bit more in the know.
I mean, that's what I was trying to say is like, I understood the big parts, but sometimes like
Yeah.
some of the smaller gears, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I kind of put this in the wrong column for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I could give you the
We're
main
getting-
story beats. I could be like,
Yeah.
this happened, then this happened, because this happened. But I'm like,
But I feel like getting better at it as we do this.
So as you're going through, you find this market, and you're seeing in the market, there's 33rd soldiers chasing civilians down and firing their weapons.
oh
and
no,
they're saying,
this is when I accidentally killed a civilian for the
Okay.
first time.
and they're yelling, "Stop running! This is for your own good." But what they're so you think that they're trying to kidnap and kill the civilians. So you engage them. Actually, what they're trying to do is round them up and move them out of the battle zone. So the third
Because this is the non-Conrad side of the 33rd.
yes,
33rd, third.
this is the good 33rd.
I remember even being torn in that moment because like you come in like from behind like a shop
Yeah.
And like you go up to the you're behind the counter where the shopkeeper would be, looking out the window, and like you can start blasting guys. But I was like, but that's the 33rd, and we're like, they're shooting civilians, and I was like, what do I do?
And they weren't shooting civilians.
No.
they
They were
were
just
they're
after
firing.
them?
And,
Yeah.
You know, but they were trying to maintain the situation.
Yeah.
So you pop in, and they're like, it's the CIA, and the 33rd starts shooting you, and at this point, you're engaging in war with your own guys.
Oh, I started blasting them through the window before
yeah.
it even
really?
they were shooting off in the air, and I was like,
I just heard gunshots, and I saw people running.
Right,
and
you're
I
like
was
crouched down in the little window thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a good
It
scene.
was intense.
Yeah.
I think I died here.
Oh, I
So-
got a lot in this game.
Yeah.
Not like a shit ton, you know what I mean? There were some spots that were rougher
Hit
than
a couple
others.
clutch points, that's for sure.
But
So you're convinced that that the 33rd is like taking these civilians to round them up and kill them.
yes, and you have seen some evidence of that, I believe, up until now.
Especially with
I
what you
think-
heard about the nest.
Like I believe this is at some point. No, I don't know if you've gotten there yet. There's like a line of bodies on the wall.
Yeah,
I
you
think
find that later.
yeah.
But so you know this is where you're in like a giant atrium like battle,
Mall,
and this
yeah.
is where this is where you can shoot out the windows and bury everyone with sand at the end of the battle.
Yeah,
that was
And
cool.
you're like, you know, Walker's like, did they get away with the civilians? And Lugo's like, yeah, affirmative. Like the 33rd kidnapped those civilians. And that's the end of that chapter. You you head out into the desert basically. From there.
We need a translator to know they're hurt.
They say it now. These people want us gone.
We should get out of here. Leave these people to grieve.
Yeah, I think that's the least we can do. Come on.
So this is chapter 5, The Edge. Adams asks if Walker is okay because he's been quiet for a while. Walker explains that he's been pondering the situation and trying to figure out their next move. It appears to Walker that the 33rd has gone to war against itself, and whichever side won decided to stay and take over Dubai, and that the CIA is there just trying to clean the whole thing up so no one ever finds out about it. So this is where there's a really cool sniper section. I don't know. I liked sniping in this game a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I'm never a huge sniper fan in games. You know what I mean? I'm not like a big long range guy.
They can really slow stuff down.
Yeah, and in games like Skyrim, I rarely pick sneak or archery. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I rarely do anything like that. I'm much more of a fucking
Let's go.
let's get rid of it,
Yeah.
fast paced kind of person. I'll do it, and obviously when it's necessary. And it was very well done in this game.
Yeah, it felt solid.
And another thing that kind of confirms that press theory is that Walker says the CIA has clearly been here long enough to know everything going on in the city. So they've been having some sort of reconnaissance of the whole situation. And
Yeah.
they're acting on it now. So Adams asks if all this includes whatever happened to Conrad, and Walker confirms that if they can make contact with the CIA, they should be able to find Conrad. At this point, Adams is like, Lugo is like, hey, I hear something. You gotta listen to this. You hear a man's voice. You're intercepting a radio transmission. You hear a man's voice, and they're asking, what's your name and designation? And the guy goes, Agent Daniels, CIA.
Oh, yes.
And the guy goes, why did you come to Dubai? And Daniel says, you're looking for survivors. And then the sounds indicate that he's being tortured.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
You're basically oh man, we gotta get to him. Figure this shit out.
Yeah. We got to get to the bottom of this one.
This guy's screaming. Fucked up.
So you're continuing to battle your way through, and a lot of the game is battling your way through. So I know I keep saying that, but it's basically what you're doing.
It's a big theme of the game that you're just kind of putting your head down and shooting and pushing forward.
Yeah.
You eventually fall through another glass ceiling and battle through another sandstorm ravaged building, and this is where the first Vietnamese War by Black Angel starts to play, which is a very epic scene. And Walker's like, I think I know this Radio Man guy, and you call him Radio Man, or this is referred to as Radio Man in the game. And he's like, I think I know him from my past somehow. And he's starting to put things together. I don't think that ever gets revisited.
I remember him saying that.
It does in Intel.
Okay.
You can find intel from not only his point of view,
Damn,
but
I
then
do
also...
remember that now.
Yeah, I know, because you
Wow.
missed
See,
some of
the-
the intel and stuff
Right.
Yeah.
in this playthrough. But, like, you get more context of this guy through the intel.
So you continue to fight your way through some buildings, but eventually Walker kicks open the door, and you're blasted by a fucking giant sand blast, basically. And it knocks your ass down into
Sandblast
the pit.
simulator.
So, Chapter 6 is
Fallout 3.
the pit.
The greatest Fallout 3 DLC. ever.
Yeah.
So good they're redoing it they redid it for Fallout 76.
It's so amazing. They revisited
Everyone loved that DLC the most. So
it. Let's do that one again.
So Walker is in Fallout 3. He has no ammo, and he's completely alone. So
His
you need
rads
to,
are up.
yeah, it's bad.
AP 0.
He has to fight off enemies until the team catches up with him. This is where I did enjoy using the shotgun quite a bit, because I was kind of just like ducking behind the car and be like, come get me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Blast.
Blast.
And I used the shotgun was really good in like this previous chapter because it's a lot of the close quarter stuff. Like as you're kind of working your way through these buildings a lot of the time, the shotgun came in handy.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Totally.
A lot of battles allow for however you want to handle it. Like you can't have a shotgun.
Yeah, there's some where it's really like you got to just kind of wait here and pick them off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's a lot of the fighting. And if you try to just rush in, you're gonna get fucking
you get
blasted.
capped. Yeah.
But your team eventually shows up. They rescue you, essentially. Like
Yeah.
like they give a couple, like,
That falling
shots
scene,
aiding you.
scene was brutal.
That fall down into the pit.
Yeah, it's like it made
that's
it.
that's where we were watching like the actual special ops guys
yeah.
like
Yeah.
be like, that would have killed him. That's not fair.
pretty sure
instantly.
he would have died.
But also like it is like a lot of the game is fairly realistic in its depiction of what violence does to a human body.
Yeah.
and also
not there.
and psyche. You know what I mean?
Like,
The
yeah,
human
he
psyche
slides a
and how-
little bit, but mostly that's a dead
No,
drop
because when he
fall.
does
That
is
first
he, like,
initial
he, like-
fall
he,
though
like-
would kill him.
Oh,
But
sure.
he like has like a thing around his waist or something, and he like
And he grabs like a,
And he,
like a
like-
Batman grappling hook.
Yeah.
But when,
and it's
when
like,
it
that would've
stops,
snapped
he
his
like
spine.
fucking his whole body goes like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Like
mean? And you're like, you would have just been
Batman,
back broken.
Bane.
You're dead. Like you're or
much
you're
like
paralyzed.
Batman has back broken.
It's yeah.
By
my,
Bang.
My actual
Bang bang.
Bang, bang.
That's what he said when he snapped it.
Yeah, the huge fucking guy picks him up.
Batman.
I used to
Christ.
be able to do a good.
I hate that they did that to him.
Batman.
I don't like that at all.
simply.
I was born
in it.
My real life brother fell 20 or 30 feet.
Yeah, he fell like 3 or 4 stories.
Yeah. He's a
Onto his back.
yeah.
Cool.
And I'm serious. He's a construction guy, and
I'm serious.
yeah, it really happened. And he told me, like, when he was falling down, there was a flagpole or some sort of pole sticking out that he tried to grab. You can't grab it.
No,
Unless,
you
like,
can't.
you're an Olympic gymnast. Like, you can't just like grab the ledge as you're falling. There's no.
Well, it's like
possible
you have
way.
to think like maybe you can support your weight and you could hold yourself up, but like, can you stop the momentum of like 200 pounds
Yeah, I can't.
falling? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, you can't.
And he's
You
a
can't.
really strong guy, and he broke everything. Like aside from the bones that if they were broken they would have killed him instantly. His pelvis was shattered. All of his bones are broken.
All of his ribs were like broken.
All the ribs. I think all of his arms and legs. But he did survive. But like
He's not paralyzed.
no. But everything else. I assure you.
Well, let's
Full
talk about
body
the game.
cast.
Sorry,
As much as
yeah.
I want to talk about your brother's injuries.
He did fall. He fell.
He fell. But this guy also fell, and he didn't get injured nearly as bad as that
He
guy.
got back up. He just woke up.
So as your team arrives, you fight your way through even deeper, and you come across a massive underground grave. Just this
Yes.
tons of bodies.
Yeah,
And
that's
this is
brutal.
where you find the row of executed 33rd soldiers with bags over their heads. And to you, it's now undeniable that the 33rd has turned on itself. You fight through even deeper, and you eventually find the burnt and hanging corpse of Daniels, who has a speaker shoved down his throat. And so
Yeah.
that transmission you heard was a trap.
Because it was just them replaying the sounds of him being tortured, basically.
Yeah.
His interrogation.
Then you're ambushed by the 33rd at this point, and Radio Man chimes in to let you know, like, oh, we were trying to set a trap for CIA agent Gould, but we got you instead. That's
Yeah.
just good.
Like, all right.
So Gould shows up and he helps you escape.
Yeah, he's on like the fucking like 3rd or 4th
Yeah.
story, and he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm here."
So you're pushing forward.
They're gonna shoot you now.
to try to help Gould. So there's some like mild unrest here because, Lugo and Adams like aren't entirely sure if we should be trusting the CIA.
And also, it's definitely they're starting to kind of push back a little bit at this point, being like, we're killing American soldiers. Why are we doing this? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? They start kind of being like, what are we doing here, Walker? What's the goal? What's the fucking plan?
And he's just kind of like fall in line. You know? Like, I don't know.
And it seems like Adams is a little bit better at this point at being like, what's what we have to do. We got to follow orders. But Lugo kind of bucks the whole game.
Yeah.
But he's also he's the goofy rebel at the beginning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Walker's very determined just to push forward, and he says like Gould risked his life to save ours, so like we owe it to him to like trust him.
Elliot Gould.
So this is where at the end of the chapter you have that scene where you have to run from the chopper. Like there's a giant chopper chasing you.
Fucking you're in like a. Were you in a mall? Was it a mall, kind of?
A lot of things feel like malls
in
this game.
Could have been something.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that building was.
That mall could have been a low-end
and it could even be like
Dubai.
It could be like a hotel building with like storefronts on the bottom floor. You know what I mean? Or like something like that. Like it's Dubai. It is luxury. It is excess. So it's like you might be like, yeah, this is an office building, but there's a Neiman Marcus on the first floor. You know what I mean? Like,
so this sequence is not a boss fight. It's not like
it's not a boss fight.
You cannot fight the helicopter.
You were like, maybe I'm just like a fucking idiot loser, but I keep dying here. And it's like I sent you a clip from the wiki. It's like this is like the consensus is this is the hardest part of the game.
It was very vindicating because I did just keep dying, and all you're meant to do. The objective, you just got to run, and like there's not a lot of ways to go. You just like hook around the corner, go up the stairs, go down the next part, and then
you just can't hit any snags.
Yeah,
you really can't fuck up at all.
And I died like probably 6 times. And I was just like, what the fuck? Because I knew all you have to do is run. It's essentially a scripted sequence. But yeah, that thing fucked me up.
So
much like a real helicopter would fuck me up in real life.
After that ends, you get away from the chopper. It is chapter 7, the battle. You're continuing your way towards Gould, and you're continuing to be antagonized by the Radio Man. You're fighting closer and closer, getting through like into like the heart of the city of Dubai. Eventually, Radio Man confirms that he does remember you. He's like, "Oh, Walker, yeah, man."
Hey, man.
Shit.
And so you're getting toward the city gate, and you find another enormous row of dead bodies. And you're just like, "Wow, things are super fucked here."
Not going great. Not going great.
So you realize through different context clues and everything else that Gould and the CIA were helping to lead a civilian rebellion against the 33rd, but it failed. And it's like kind of like, and even like some of your squads like so cool. They like took a bunch of like fucking unarmed civilians and gave them guns against like the 33rd, like
against anywhere between 300 and 1,000 armed soldiers.
Active combat. Like,
like trained.
Yeah.
And as you're getting deeper into the city, like you're heading to like the city gate where this is really. You're on the outskirts, like before.
Yeah.
You're seeing more graffiti. Like they're like, oh, signs of the revolution. There's like, it's clear. There's like things are getting more political, more intense.
Yeah.
You're also seeing like corpses hanging from the lampposts.
It's when you're getting into like actual, like you've seen some war crimes until now. You're getting into places where it's like this is a war zone.
Right. And well, this is where you first begin to smell the white phosphorus or the Willy Pete. And there's burning bodies all over the place.
Apparently it has a little bit of a garlicky scent.
And you're like, don't let them touch you. You know, you have to get through. And you like just need to like basically walk through a bunch of corpses that are like trying to reach at you.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys in this part. I killed everybody I walked by.
What?
If anybody was alive, they're suffering, Andrew.
Oh, I thought you meant because you thought it was funny.
No, I was walking through and it's like, yeah, that's me. No, sometimes it is. I'll give you that.
Weren't
but
these were civilians.
I thought it was 50-50. I couldn't. Some of them were soldiers. They were all burning. They were all dying a horrible, painful death.
Yeah.
I wasn't like. I was like, I'd see one, and he'd like reach a hand and I'd go, I was just one and done, keep walking. One and done, keep walking. Because I was like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do in that scenario in real life. But it's kind of like I'd want to die.
Tough to watch.
I think I'd want to. I think I'd if I was melting, and there was literally nothing anyone could do to stop it from happening.
Like, let's get it over with.
And some guy with a fucking gun was walking by me and be like,
Give me. Come on, please. Look at me.
it's Larry David. You're not gonna shoot me.
Come on.
You can see my rib cage. You can see my bones. You can see my bones. The bones are melting right now. Please.
He rips out a rib. He's like, "You want it?"
Please. Just put this in me. I
Anything.
don't know how I'm not dead yet. Please.
I didn't blast anybody. I didn't know. We've talked about this extensively off camera. I didn't know what white phosphorus was. I've gone my entire life never hearing about it. So at the time, I thought it was some sort of fantasy thing. I didn't know what the fuck. I was like, oh, this game's getting kind of like.
It's like new napalm.
My naivete is just like, oh, this substance couldn't possibly exist in reality. But I think I just like looked at them like, ooh, and just like kept going. Would you mercy kill our buddies there, or?
No, but you do have to kill a couple soldiers that do like attack you during this part, and it's like very low visibility, and there's like the phosphorus like raining down. There's buildings are on fire. It's a very fucked up scene.
It almost looks like it's snowing, but it's like ash and smoke.
Yeah,
know?
it has this white to it.
So Lugo asks why this happened, and Walker says that it was a message to the survivors: "Don't fuck with us." And Lugo goes, "What survivors? Like, what are you even talking? Like, this is fucking scorched earth here." You know what I mean?
You're not leaving survivors to send a message to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody to get this message. They're all dead.
They're gone. They're gone.
So you're trying to get to the gate at this point still. As you're going through, you get past the phosphorus scene. You find Gould, who is... I should say this is also where, right before this, is where you get one of the first bullet sponge heavies.
Oh, okay.
They kind of just look like Bomberman.
Yeah, this game does do a good job of... With a lot of war games, it's kind of like... You either have... It's like sniper... regular soldier or like turret. You know what I mean? Like those are the three enemies that you
There's
have.
a lot more in this game.
But like they do a very good job of like Resident Evil style introducing
like the CQC
different
guys.
Yeah, there's the guys with the knives who fucking sprint at you. You know what I mean?
Like,
and
they'll
there's,
like do a flip to dodge your
They're
bullets.
shirtless and wide-eyed.
yeah, and they're clearly like all methed out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Then there's the guys with the P90s who are like the tactical guys. And
The knife guys got me once or twice too.
Knife guy got me
It
first
wasn't-
time. First
Yeah.
time knife
Yeah.
guy came
Because
at.
you're like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And even
Like
Adams is like,
shotgunners will charge, but not like that.
no,
Not
even
that
Adams
aggressively.
is like,
This guy will like.
he's like, don't let those guys get near you. That guy can do serious damage. And he got right up on me, and I punched him. And it was the first time I'd punched an enemy, and he didn't immediately knock him down.
I kept
And I was
forgetting
like,
what the
what the
button
fuck?
was.
You have to melee them like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
Because he just keeps he's just stabbing at you. It's wild.
Makes me wonder if that's like valid in a combat scenario because no one's gonna expect you to bring a knife and just literally charge at
Yeah,
them.
no
Maybe
one's
literally-
expecting you to bring a knife to a gunfight.
But in a lot of, you know what I mean, war's a gross thing, and like they will just give people like bath salts or meth or like, you know what I mean, something like that. They'll be like,
Yeah,
take all
very
these drugs and fuck,
common.
go.
Amphetamines.
Yeah. Here's
so
PCP,
You'll
murder.
stay alive much longer than you should.
You find Gould along with several civilians. They're about to be executed. The 33rd aims to execute even more civilians if Gould doesn't talk.
Yeah.
And you can choose to either help Gould or help the civilians.
Because you come up on them and they're not aware of you yet.
Right.
The three of you.
So I personally chose to save the civilians. What did you guys choose?
I also saved the civilians with
So
Adams.
this was a choice where like I couldn't. I think I waited too long, and the decision was made for me.
Okay.
Because inevitably we saved Gould.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like Gould doesn't get murdered here or whatever. I don't believe.
So you must have gone with Lugo.
Or no. Lugo was mad at me afterwards.
Interesting. 'cause
I just started shooting enemies. I'm pretty sure. I just started killing them.
That's what Lugo
like to
wanted to do.
the right. You know what I mean? There's enemies to your right.
Gould dies if you don't save him.
Yeah.
Then Gould died. Yeah, Gould died.
I lost him.
I didn't save him. So I guess I chose the civilians.
We tried to
But I'll be
resuscitate
honest,
him,
I
but-
didn't like. This was kind of a confusing decision for me
Yeah.
because I couldn't tell. You know what I mean?
The game kind of throws these at you because it's not like press X to save
Yeah, it was
Gould.
because it was like, how do I make the decision? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, what do I do to make the
Right.
decision?
It was
The only
it was
thing-
honestly a little unclear to me exactly how to play it.
Yeah.
And I love
Like
that
literally,
tension.
like what would
yes.
do what.
Not as a like, what should I do? But I'm like, how do I do what I want
There's
to
like
do?
a lot of these decision points in this game, and it is always like down to the very last one of the last moments of the game. It's like I'm doing this soon. You got to make it. You got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. Got to make a decision. And you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that cued me in that Adams wanted to save Gould is that he was like heading down towards the left.
Lugo wanted to save Gould.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Adams wanted to save the civilians, so I followed him. And he's like, come on, follow me.
I just started shooting at people from the balcony.
Well, either way, Gould will either be strangled by the interrogator or he'll die from his injuries.
Okay.
But you get into a pretty fucking intense battle here.
yes.
Yeah.
But either way, eventually at the end of it, one of your squad mates draws your attention to a map that Gould had.
That's right.
And it appears to be a map indicating an attack that Agent Riggs, another CIA agent, is
You haven't
planning.
met yet.
No, is planning against the 33rd. And you're like, okay, well, we see this. Like, maybe we can link up with Riggs somehow. And, like, at least we have a little more intel on the situation.
Yeah.
And this is where you, as you're going forward, you enter a building, and there's the fist fight between Adams and Lugo. And they're just, like, the tensions are, like, way too high.
Yeah.
Because basically, like, Walker's forcing everyone to do stuff they don't want to do, and they're not really staying in their ranks and everything, and they're not
Yeah.
really... Everything's fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
Which is interesting too, because he doesn't really ever. What am I saying? He doesn't posture up to them. He doesn't threaten them really. They just
No,
kind of
there's
like
never
they
any
just
point
kinda
where he's
follow
like,
him.
"You gotta do what I tell you
Yeah,
to
he
do."
doesn't
I mean,
threaten
because
them.
there was never a point where they really bucked against Walker. You know, they were arguing with each other, and he's like, "You two are being fucking babies. Get up!"
Yeah.
And you know, that's pretty much like the most he
just-
lashes out against them.
They just continued to follow him regardless of what they felt
I mean,
about his decisions.
because
which
they're
I don't know.
you know they're soldiers and they're not ready to desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
basically.
mean, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, even if, like, say Walker takes him through, you know what I mean, and you're not supposed to be doing any of this, you've admitted this at this point.
Yeah.
At the end, like, if you've disobeyed Walker, if you get out of here, he can have you, like, court-martialed, probably dishonorably discharged for, you know what I mean, insubordination, you know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
have you put in jail, you know? So it's like, there's all this stuff where you have to weigh that against, you know what I mean? And also be like, well, he's put in charge because he knows what to do, so we have to listen to him, you know what I mean?
So maybe you're less liable if you're like, you told us to do what this guy
I think there's an amount of like, you can shed an amount of culpability by being like, we were just following orders.
Can I say something else too?
Yeah.
We'll get into this deeper at the end of the discussion. But also, it's not always clear how much they're actually following his orders and how much they're just kind of like trying to
stay alive.
stay alive, but also trying to keep him alive.
Trying to mitigate the situation.
Because there are many situations where it seems like he has become catatonic and he is completely lost in his own thoughts and you know, they even say, like, "You okay, man?" Like,
Yeah.
at one point, if you read deeper into that and think about the state that his psyche is actually in, because, you know, as you're playing the game, you think you're a lot more stable than you are as the game continues to realize you're extremely unstable.
Yeah.
But Lugo and Adams are very well aware of how unstable you are. I mean, it becomes extremely apparent to them
Yeah.
over time, but, like, they're like, uh-oh, like, this is not good. Like, I mean, they don't even know if, like, you're a threat or not, I would say, arguably.
By the end, yeah.
Because of how, you know, how out of it you are. But there's a lot more to talk about. I want to wrap this episode up for today. We're at the halfway point in the discussion of the chapters. There's 15 altogether, so we're going to continue the rest of the campaign and give a sort of post-game analysis in the next episode of Yeah, I've Played
Spec
Ops The Line.
See you next time, gamers.
Boom, 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 boom.
Join the Patreon.
I don't want to put up another 6-hour video. That's why I'm stopping this now.